my, we've got a few comments here while we were
Yep.
chatting. Jin says, this actually happened to me. Jin, I can tell you're very much a numbers man, because he gets all excited when Tony brings out his numbers, spreadsheets and all. He said, it's actually happened to me when someone was trying to convince me to join New South Wales Business Chambers. It was literally the 5th contact when I finally decided to join. I was ready for 3 months ago, which was the penultimate time they contacted me. And is
That's
that
it.
also because they've almost worn you down? Like, you know, after the 5th time, they go, all right, now I've seen you enough. Almost to a certain extent as well, that they've almost become a little accustomed to seeing you, and it's built a little bit of trust.
Oh, look, it could be, but again, as the purchaser, in that instance, Jin is the purchaser because they're wanting him to join the Chamber of Commerce, whatever it was. Yes, he might have got worn down, but I mean, you're in the position where you can still say no. A lot of people find it hard to say no and eventually give in. But perhaps the reason was that he felt there was enough value, right? And so theoretically, a transaction takes place when value exceeds price. Does that make sense? So when I, as the purchaser, can see greater value than the price tag, and regardless of what it is, I will purchase that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I can see more value than what, and it doesn't matter if you're buying a tin of baked beans right through to a house, the theory says that a transaction takes place when value exceeds price.
I always refer to Fiji water as a great
Perfect.
sales,
Yeah.
sales and marketing pitch there. Like, so what is the value that Fiji water brings, which is just water, right?
Hydration, isn't it?
Hydration. But is that the value? No, it was marketed to,
Correct.
influence really, famous people and all that. So people felt that if I drank Fiji water, I'm going to be cooler than I really am, because,
Correct.
Fiji water does. And so it's just
Correct.
it's that innate value, sort of that innate feeling of value that it brings. So yeah, that's a really interesting point.
Correct.
We'll move on to see. We've got a few questions around sales tonight.
Okay,
Mark,
great.
how you doing? Sending out letters is very time consuming. What do you think about the use of MailChimp and such other applications, which I'm assuming are online applications? Also, if you have 3 letters, do you think that the receiver is going to remember?
If I sent 3 letters, well, they may remember, they may not. But I suppose it's again a point of you've got to be in it to win it. But also it might be that 3rd letter, it's not so much about them remembering, although it could be, but that 3rd letter might be that their circumstances have changed and you're Johnny or Jill on the spot. Does that make sense? As opposed to sending it once and then hoping that in 6 or 9 months' time, when things change for that particular vendor, that oh yes, I remember that letter that I got 9 months ago. That's not going to happen, right? I mean, it may happen. Is it possible? Yes, it is. But the percentages are low. But if you're constantly sending the letters, then chances are that you're going to be on the spot as the circumstances change, and hopefully that they do remember as well. Going back to the comment around MailChimp. Look, for me, it's all about driving efficiency. Every single part of your business, you want to look at how do I make this more efficient? Have you considered VAs? So have you considered people offshore to do things? I know that, there's people who will send paper, so A4 paper, envelopes over to the Philippines and have them do the letters, put the letters into the envelopes, address the envelopes, send them back, and all you have to do in Australia is put a stamp on them, and it's a whole lot more cost effective. So you've got to think about, it might be time consuming, but what if I just outsourced that process and I then spent my time on doing something different?
Yeah.
And I don't suggest spend your time having a holiday or having relaxing. What I'm suggesting is spend your time on something more strategic in your business where you can actually make more of a difference, as opposed to some of these mundane, laborious tasks that if you can outsource them, fantastic. The other is that there might be some. There was an app that I used, not an app. It was a program that I used which converted my handwriting into a font, so it gave the appearance of handwriting. So, so you're able to do those sorts of things where it came through and it had a whole lot of grids, and it had a big A, a big B, a little b, etc. And I simply had to write in the box beneath what my handwriting version would be like, and I created Tony font. And so then I would do the letter and it would have the appearance of being handwritten. So look, try different things. There's plenty of stuff out there. Google, right? The most famous, research website. Google stuff up.
Yeah, and it depends as well, obviously, Mark, who your audience is, right? So you're talking about, an online and an offline mode of communication. And, if you're talking about MailChimp, that's generally a mailing list or a contacts, list you already have, which might be email. And similar thing, that's why you've got these emails, sort of autoresponder type things. And an email. Tony, you've got something set up where,
Infusionsoft. Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I use Infusionsoft. There's a whole range of them, Cheryl, out there, and there's Entreport and a whole lot of others. MailChimp is one of them. And again, the open rates on emails are quite low, so you need to be creative to try to get more open rates. The thing that seems to be working at the moment is, I know, text messaging seems to be working, so SMSs. But again, it depends on what who you're trying to attract. In the majority of cases, you may not have email addresses. So all you have is the actual physical address, and it might be an older person who isn't that computer savvy. So, you've got an address, you've got an owner's details, send the letter the good old fashioned way.
Yeah.
But think about how can I make that as efficient as possible.
Definitely. If you're needing VAs, Mark, just PM me as well. I can sort of point you in the right direction there. Richie's got a question about letter drops, because some of us have access to RP data. Would you address the letter to the owner if it can be found, or would you address it to the homeowner? And would you do colorful envelopes or just plain ones? I've had. What's your strategy then, Tony?
Well, technically, you're not supposed to market it directly. I mean, that's the reality. So if you're looking to the fine print, whether it be RP data or whether it be on Price Finder, technically you're not supposed to market it directly. The challenge is that when you address it to the homeowner, you say dear homeowner, then it just sort of blends in, right? And so the chances of them opening that are a lot lower. But disclaimer, it does say that you shouldn't send it direct to the homeowner.
Yes, yes. I'm sure a lot of us, but I do agree. It is more effective, obviously, because people feel that there's a bit more connection there. I've always sent my envelopes coloured. And they've been very, very effective. I've sent one of my most effective ones was a black envelope, and actually got about 10 homeowners together. And I said to them, what actually got you to open the letter? They said they all thought it was an invitation. I said, fantastic.
Beautiful. It was. Yeah, it was. It's an exciting invitation.
Yeah.
Again, so, reverse engineer. So reverse engineer being, what do you want to happen? You want the phone to ring. What do you need to happen for the phone to ring? They need to open the envelope. If your envelope blends in with every other envelope, then the percentages of them opening it is reduced. So you want to think creatively around that. In America, what's very big over there are things called yellow letters. So they write on yellow paper. So if you Google up yellow letters, you'll see an enormous number of different options for direct to homeowners. But they use yellow paper as to be stand out and differentiate itself from standard paper.
Yeah, definitely. So just like I said, try what works.
Try different things, and you'll figure out what works. Does that make sense? And so don't try and guess what necessarily is going to work. Just try different things, test and learn, but do enough so that you can actually have a good sample. So don't just do 5 letters and 5 letters and 5 letters, because that's not enough of a sample, because remembering that the average rate of return is about 5%. So I'd suggest that you wanted to at least do 100, because if you at least do 100 and you do 33, 33, 34, then you're at least going to get 5 responses. If you can get more than that, I know some people who've got 10 and maybe 12, 13%, right? But work off about 5%.